Rain was falling hard that night. Dr. Ethan Hale sat alone in his small apartment, the only light coming from the holographic screen floating above his desk. He was watching a news report about the Galactic War, the war that had ended just months ago. Humans had won, but at a terrible cost. Whole cities were gone, millions of lives lost. The galaxy had changed forever. Ethan was a scientist, not a soldier. He had spent the last 5 years building life support systems for wounded soldiers, machines that could breathe for them, pump their blood, even keep damaged alien bodies alive. But after the war, his funding was cut. His lab was shut down. Now he lived in silence, haunted by what he had seen and what he had built. Just as he stood to turn off the screen, a soft knock echoed through the room. "Knock, knock," he frowned. It was almost midnight. No one ever visited him. The knock came again, a little stronger this time. Ethan hesitated, then walked to the door. When he opened it, cold air rushed in, and with it a figure. A girl stood there, drenched in rain, trembling. Her skin wasn't fully human. It shimmered faintly under the light, a pale silver glow that moved like liquid. Her eyes, large, bright, and strange, looked almost like glass marbles filled with stars. "Please," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Please help me." Ethan froze. He knew what she was. An alien, a Virian, the same race humanity had fought against in the war. He stepped back instinctively. "You can't be here," he said firmly. "If anyone sees you, they'll arrest you, or worse." But she didn't move. She looked at him with wide, desperate eyes. "I am not here to fight," she said. "I ran away. I just want to live." Ethan's heart pounded. He remembered the soldiers gasping for air, their faces turning pale, and the machines he'd built that kept them alive. Machines that had once saved lives like hers. Now one of them was asking him for help. "What's your name?" he asked cautiously. The girl hesitated. "Lyra," she said softly. "My name is Lyra." She looked weak. Her skin flickered faintly, like light passing through broken glass. Ethan recognized the signs. Her species needed a special atmospheric mix to breathe. Without it, she could die. He sighed heavily. He knew he shouldn't help her. The galactic law was clear. No alien refugees on Earth. Anyone caught hiding one could face prison or even exile. Still, he couldn't just let her die at his door. "Come in," he said quietly. Lyra stumbled inside, dripping water on the floor. She looked around his tiny apartment. The books, the empty coffee mugs, the cold metal desk. "You live alone," she whispered. "Yes," Ethan said. "And I like it that way." He went to fetch a blanket, then stopped when he heard her coughing, a dry, painful sound. Her body trembled harder. Her breathing grew uneven. Without thinking, Ethan grabbed a small oxygen module from his shelf, one of his old prototypes. He placed it over her mouth and nose. A faint blue light pulsed, and her breathing steadied. Her eyes opened slowly. You built this?" He nodded. "It's what I used to do." Lyra touched the edge of the device, her fingers shaking. "You saved me." Ethan sighed. "Don't thank me. You need to leave soon. The scanners will detect your energy signature if you stay too long." But Lyra didn't move. Her voice was barely a whisper. "I'll do anything," she said. "Just let me stay." Ethan turned away, running his hands through his hair. He didn't want this. He didn't want another life depending on him. He'd done enough saving. Enough losing. "You don't understand," he said, his voice low. "If the Galactic Council finds you here, they'll kill you. And they'll take me too." Lyra looked at him with pleading eyes. "Then teach me to hide. I can help you. I can work." Ethan almost laughed, a tired, bitter laugh. "Work? Doing what?" "Anything," she said softly. "In bed, in the shower, day or night. Whatever you want. Just don't send me away." Her words hit him like a shockwave, not because of what she said, but because of the fear behind them. She wasn't offering herself. She was begging for life. He looked at her again. Really looked. A young girl, maybe 20 at most, alone on a hostile world, hunted by laws she didn't understand. He walked to the window and stared out at the rain. The city lights blurred through the glass. He took a deep breath. Then he said quietly, "You can stay tonight. Just one night. After that, we'll see." Lyra's eyes filled with tears, silver tears that glowed faintly before fading. "Thank you," she whispered. As Ethan turned off the lights, the room fell into silence. except for the soft hum of the life support module. He lay on the bed, unable to sleep. Outside, thunder rolled. Inside, an alien slept under his roof, and he knew his life would never be the same again. Morning sunlight crept through the broken blinds. Dr. Ethan Hale hadn't slept all night. He sat at the edge of his bed, staring at the small figure curled up on the couch, Lyra. Her breathing was soft now, steady, almost human. The oxygen module still glowed faintly blue beside her face. He rubbed his tired eyes. "What am I doing?" he thought. "I'm hiding a fugitive, an alien." He remembered the words of the Galactic law enforcement broadcast. "Any citizen found harboring a Virian will be punished under Article 9, aiding the enemy." He'd seen what happened to people who broke that rule. They disappeared. A soft beep pulled him back to reality. His door console flashed red, incoming message. He opened it. A robotic voice filled the air. "Attention, Dr. Ethan Hale. Galactic Patrol will be scanning your district today for illegal life forms. Please cooperate." His heart dropped. They were coming. Today. He turned toward Lyra. She was awake now, sitting up slowly, her silver blue hair tangled, her eyes dazed but alert. "You need to hide," Ethan said sharply. Lyra looked confused. "Hide? Why?" "Patrols are coming," he said. "They'll detect your energy pattern in seconds. If they find you here, we're both dead." She stood unsteady but determined. "I can mask it." For a little while, Ethan frowned. "How?" Lyra touched the small crystal on her neck, a faintly glowing shard that pulsed with alien light. "This is part of my species core," she said softly. "If I drain it, my body will go dim. The scanners won't sense me." Ethan stepped forward quickly. "You'll die if you do that," she smiled weakly. "Then we both die if I don't." Before he could stop her, she pressed her fingers against the crystal. The glow faded instantly and her skin turned dull gray, lifeless. She gasped, like someone losing air underwater. "Lyra!" he shouted, catching her before she fell. "I'm fine," she whispered, trembling. "Just tired." He carried her to the back room, his old lab space. Dust covered the machines, but the thick lead walls blocked scanners. It was the safest place. "Stay here," he said, setting her down gently. No sound, no movement. Lyra nodded weakly. "You saved me again," she whispered. He didn't reply. He couldn't look at her. Something in her voice made his chest tighten. Minutes later, the door console beeped again. A cold metallic tone followed. "Galactic Patrol." "Open immediately." Ethan froze. His hands shook. He tried to breathe, but his chest felt heavy. He walked to the door, pressed the unlock code, and stepped aside as two patrol officers entered, tall, armored, and faceless behind black helmets. Their silver badges glowed with the galactic insignia. "Routine inspection," one said flatly. "We've detected irregular power readings from this unit." "Probably from my old lab equipment," Ethan said carefully. "I'm a biomedical engineer." The other officer scanned the room with a handheld device. The red light swept across the furniture, the walls, even the floor. For a second, Ethan thought it was over, until the scanner beeped near the back hallway. The officer turned. "What's in there?" Ethan's pulse raced. "Storage room. Old machinery." The officer stepped closer. "Open it," Ethan's brain screamed. "Do something." He forced a tired smile. "Sure, but careful. The air filtration unit inside leaks plasma gas. It can fry your scanners." The officer paused, then looked at his partner. "We'll come back with containment suits." He turned and tapped his wrist console. "Marking this unit for follow-up inspection." They left without another word. Ethan stood frozen until the door sealed shut. Then he exhaled, a sharp, shaking breath. He ran to the back room and opened the door. Lyra lay on the floor, barely conscious. The color had returned slightly to her skin, but her pulse was weak. "Lyra," he said, kneeling beside her. "They're gone." Her eyes fluttered open. "You risked your life." He looked away. "You risked yours first," she smiled faintly. "Maybe we're both stupid." Ethan chuckled softly, in the first laugh he'd had in months. "Maybe." Later that night, the rain returned. Ethan sat at his desk again, staring at the holographic map of the city. Patrols were increasing. Refugee crackdowns were spreading. He knew Lyra couldn't stay long. The scanners would come again. Next time there'd be no warning, but when he turned toward her, She was watching him quietly from the couch, wrapped in a blanket, the faint blue light of the oxygen module glowing beside her face. "I can help you," she said softly. "You build machines that save lives. I can make them better. My people used energy patterns you humans can't see." Ethan hesitated. "You want to work with me?" She nodded. "If I'm going to die anyway, I want to do something good before that." He looked at her. Really looked. For the first time, she didn't seem like an alien. She seemed like someone who had lost everything like he had. He sighed. "All right, Lyra, we'll start tomorrow." Her eyes glowed faintly again just for a moment. "Thank you, human." He smiled slightly. "Call me Ethan." But outside, high above the clouds, the Galactic Patrol ship hovered, its scanners recording every heat signature in the district. And deep within its metal hull, a voice spoke through static. "Target located. The fugitive Virion has been found." The ship's engines roared. The hunt had begun. Night fell like a black curtain over the city. The streets glowed with neon lights, pink, blue, and green, reflecting on the wet pavement. Drones floated overhead, humming softly like metal insects. Dr. Ethan Hale watched the skyline through his window, his heart uneasy. He could feel it. The city wasn't safe anymore. The Galactic Patrol's ships were everywhere now, scanning, searching, hunting. Lyra stood beside him, wearing one of his old jackets. It hung loosely on her, hiding her faintly glowing skin. Her hair shimmered faintly under the neon light, a quiet reminder that she didn't belong here. "They're looking for me, aren't they?" she asked quietly. Ethan didn't answer right away. He stared at the street below, where 2 patrol officers were questioning people. "Yes," he said finally. "And they're close." Lyra's eyes darkened with fear. "Then I should leave." "You helped me enough." He turned to her sharply. "And go where?" "Every scanner in this district will find you in seconds. You step outside alone, you're done." She lowered her head. "Then what do we do?" Ethan took a deep breath. "We run." "But not through the streets." Lyra blinked, confused. "Then how?" He pointed toward the floor, toward the underground levels of the city. "There's an old maintenance tunnel under this building. It connects to the old transport lines. Nobody uses them now, too unstable, too old. But it might be our only chance." Lyra hesitated. "Humans built those tunnels?" "Yeah," Ethan said with a faint, bitter smile. "Humans build everything dangerous. Within an hour, they were ready." Ethan packed a small case, oxygen cells, food capsules, a plasma torch, and his most valuable item, a small cube, glowing softly with shifting patterns of light. Lyra noticed it. "What is that?" Ethan paused. "My last invention, a neural reactor. It can power a whole city block and or destroy it." Her eyes widened. "You built a weapon?" He shook his head. "I built hope, but the council called it illegal. Said humans shouldn't play with quantum mines. They shut me down." Lyra looked at him for a moment, then said softly, "Maybe hope is always illegal to those who fear it." Ethan stared at her, surprised. He wasn't used to someone understanding him that easily. They descended into the tunnels. The air was thick, filled with dust and the smell of rusting metal. Their footsteps echoed through the dark. The deeper they went, the colder it became. Ethan used a small wrist light to guide the way. The walls were lined with old pipes and broken wires. Faint graffiti covered the surfaces, words from a time before the war. Lyra's voice was soft behind him. "Did your people build all this before the war?" "Yes," Ethan replied. "We thought technology would save us, but we just found new ways to destroy faster." She stopped walking for a moment. "My people said humans were monsters." He looked back at her, the light catching his face. "And what do you think now?" She smiled faintly. "I think monsters don't build machines to save dying children." Ethan felt a lump in his throat. He turned away quickly and kept walking. But above them, the patrols had found the signal. "Target confirmed." A robotic voice echoed through the communication lines. "Heat signature detected beneath Sector 7. The patrol leader gave the command. Deploy seekers." Dozens of mechanical drones launched from the ship, diving through the city sky like falling stars, red lights blinking in perfect rhythm. In the tunnel, Ethan's wristband beeped, a faint alarm. He checked the radar. Red dots were moving toward them fast. "They found us," he muttered. Lyra tensed. "What do we do?" He scanned the tunnel ahead. "There's an exit about 2 kilometers from here. An old service lift. If we reach it, we can get to the outer sectors. They started running. The echo of their footsteps mixed with the distant whine of drones closing in. The tunnel lights flickered. Shadows danced on the walls, then was a high-pitched screech. A seeker drone appeared from the darkness. Metal claws extended, red eye glowing like fire. Ethan fired his plasma torch. The beam hit the drone's sensor, melting it instantly. It crashed to the ground, sparking. Lyra gasped. "They'll know where we are now." "I know," Ethan shouted. "Keep moving." More drones poured in from behind, and small, fast, deadly. Their lasers sliced through pipes, sending steam hissing into the air. Ethan turned to cover Lyra, shielding her with his body as sparks flew. "Go, Lyra, run!" But she didn't run. Instead, she reached for the shard on her neck, the one that held her core. It glowed brightly again, light bursting from her hands. The drones froze mid-air, their systems short-circuiting under the pulse of alien energy. One by one, they dropped to the ground, lifeless. Ethan stared at her in shock. You just used your life force again." She stumbled, weak but smiling. "Better to burn once than fade forever." He caught her before she fell. "You don't get to die today," he said through gritted teeth. "Not after everything." He lifted her in his arms and ran toward the service lift. The tunnel shook as explosions echoed behind them. More drones, more patrols. When they reached the elevator shaft, Ethan placed the neural reactor into the old control slot. The machine hummed and the doors opened. He looked down at Lyra. "Hold on." The elevator shot upward, metal screaming, sparks flying. As they rose, Lyra opened her eyes weakly. "Ethan," she whispered. "Yeah?" Her lips curved into a tired smile. "You said humans build everything dangerous. Maybe that's why you're still alive." He laughed softly. "Maybe that's why we both are." The lift burst through the upper hatch, opening into the cold night air. Below, the tunnels collapsed in flames. Above, the sky filled with red searchlights. And in the distance, beyond the city walls, the dark silhouette of the galactic ship loomed like a giant predator waiting to strike. Ethan looked at Lyra and whispered, "We're not running anymore." The fight for survival had just begun. Cold wind whipped through the broken city as Ethan and Lyra emerged from the elevator shaft. Smoke rose behind them. The tunnels they'd escaped were now nothing but glowing ruins. The night sky above them was alive with searchlights and patrol drones. The entire district was locked down. They were running out of time. Ethan helped Lyra stand. She was weak, her breathing shallow. The glow from her neck crystal had dimmed again like a candle fighting to stay alive. "You need to rest," Ethan said. Lyra shook her head. "No, they'll find us if we stop." He looked at her, worried, but she was right. He opened his wrist console and brought up a holographic map. "There's something about 2 kilometers west, an old military site from before the war. It's marked as abandoned." Lyra frowned. "Abandoned places are never empty." Ethan smirked slightly. "Good thing I used to build them." They moved through the city's skeleton. Empty towers, flickering signs, streets covered in ash. No humans walked these zones anymore. Only the echoes of old lives remained. A child's toy floated in a puddle. A rusted food cart stood half buried in rubble. Lyra walked slowly beside him, studying the ruins. "Your world is so broken," she whispered. Ethan looked at the skyline, the shattered buildings, the broken lights. "Yeah," he said quietly. "But it used to be beautiful once, before the council came, before the rules." They reached the edge of the city, a massive steel wall with warning signs. Restricted zone, entry forbidden, penalty, death. Lyra stared at the symbols glowing red. "What is this place?" Ethan typed into the panel beside the gate. The lock sparked, then clicked open. "Something humanity was never supposed to find again," he said. The gate opened with a low, groaning sound. Beyond it was darkness, thick, heavy, unnatural. They stepped inside, their lights cutting through dust and silence. The walls were covered with faded logos. United Human Federation, Project Echo. Lyra traced the symbol with her fingers. "Echo," Ethan nodded. "Top secret research lab. They said it was shut down before the war, but I think they just buried it." They walked deeper until the corridor opened into a vast underground chamber. And there in the center was a massive glass pod, cracked but still glowing faintly blue. Inside it floated something, a human body, or almost human. Its veins shimmered silver, its eyes closed, and faint symbols were etched into its skin, alien symbols. Lyra gasped. That's a hybrid. Ethan's eyes widened. They said it was impossible. Lyra stepped closer, her voice trembling. My people tried to create one during the war, a being that could breathe both our air and yours. But it failed. They all died. Ethan stared at the pod. Not this one. He touched the console beside it. The screen flickered to life. Project Echo, status suspended, specimen name L01. Primary creator, Dr. Ethan Hale. He froze. His own name glowed on the display. Lyra looked at him in shock. You built this? Ethan stumbled back, his mind spinning. No, I don't remember. I never finished any hybrid work. I was ordered to destroy it. The screen flickered again, and a distorted voice filled the chamber. Dr. Hale, if you are hearing this, it means Project Echo survived termination. You must never reveal it. This creation could end both species if awakened. Ethan's heart pounded. He stared at the body inside the glass. What did I do? Lyra placed a gentle hand on his arm. Maybe you tried to create peace, and they turned it into fear. He turned to her. Lyra, this thing, it could be dangerous or it could be salvation, but if the patrol finds out, they'll destroy it. She finished for him. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed through the bunker. Lyra's eyes widened. They've tracked us again. Ethan slammed his hands on the console. I can activate the defense grid, but it's ancient tech. It won't last long. Do it. He entered override codes, his fingers flying over the glowing keys. Energy shields hummed to life around the bunker. Outside, patrol drones swarmed like angry wasps, firing plasma bolts against the barriers. The whole structure shook. Lyra leaned against the glass pod, her breathing rapid. Ethan, this body, it's alive. He turned sharply. What? The glass pulsed, faint ripples moving across the surface. Then the eyes inside the pod snapped open, glowing bright silver. Lyra stumbled back. It's awake. Ethan stared in disbelief. The being inside looked at him directly through the glass and spoke, its voice distorted but human. Creator. The sound echoed like thunder in the silent chamber. Lyra's heart pounded. It knows you. Ethan shook his head slowly. It shouldn't. I erased everything. The being pressed its hand against the glass. You built me. To end the war. To bring balance. Let me finish what you started. Lyra looked between them. Ethan, what is it talking about? He whispered. A weapon of peace. A mind that could rewrite DNA itself. The being smiled faintly. Then let me live. The bunker's shields flickered, energy draining fast. The patrols outside were breaking through. Ethan faced Lyra. If I free this thing, it might save us, or it might destroy everything. Lyra met his eyes. Then trust what you once believed in, not what you were told to fear. Ethan hesitated only a second, then slammed the release command. The pod shattered, blue mist flooding the air. The being stepped forward, glowing like a newborn star. Outside, the patrol's scanners shorted instantly. Systems crashed. Drones fell from the sky like rain. The bunker shook as if the world itself was holding its breath. Lyra clung to Ethan, her voice trembling. What did you do? He whispered, almost in awe. I woke up humanity's last secret. The bunker trembled. Dust rained down from the ceiling as the glass pod burst open. The air glowed faint blue, energy waves pulsing like heartbeats. Ethan shielded his eyes. The being stepped out, tall and calm, every movement smooth and graceful. Its skin shimmered, between human warmth and alien silver, and its eyes, bright as starlight, watched him with something between affection and warning. Lyra stumbled backward, her chest heaving. What is that? Ethan's voice cracked. was supposed to be my greatest failure. The hybrid blinked slowly. Failure? No, Creator. You built me to become what both races feared to be, united. Lyra stared at it. You're not human. You're not Virian. You're... The hybrid finished softly. Both. I am the bridge. The room filled with silence. Outside, the sounds of the Galactic Patrol's attack faded, their weapons suddenly offline, their scanners blind. The being had shut them down effortlessly. Ethan felt his hands trembling. You shouldn't even exist. The Council banned cross-species neural blending. They called it blasphemy, the hybrid said with a faint smile. Yes, they feared what I could become. Because I can choose human logic or Virian instinct. I am balance. I am what peace would have looked like. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Then why were you locked away? The hybrid turned toward her, head tilting slightly, studying her face. Because of you. Ethan froze. What do you mean? The hybrid's glowing eyes softened. She carries the same code that built me, the same neural pattern. Her core crystal is a fragment of mine. Lyra's breath caught. She touched her neck, where the faint crystal glowed weakly. That's impossible. My mother gave me this before she died. The hybrid stepped closer. Your mother was part of the project. A Virian scientist named Lysara. She worked with you, Ethan Hale. Together you created me. But when the Council found out, they destroyed everything. Your lab, your memories, even her. Ethan felt like the ground vanished beneath him. No, I would have remembered. The hybrid shook its head gently. They erased your memory, sealed the truth, and left her to die. But she didn't. She hid her daughter, Lyra, and gave her part of my energy core to keep her alive. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. My mother worked with you? Ethan's voice cracked. I never knew. He looked at her, at the girl he'd saved, sheltered, protected. She wasn't just an alien fugitive. She was part of his forgotten creation. A deep rumble shook the bunker. The red lights flickered again. The hybrid turned sharply. They're adapting. The patrol has reactivated their fleet. They're coming with ion cannons, strong enough to burn this entire zone. Ethan clenched his fists. We can't fight a whole army. The hybrid's calm voice cut through the panic. No, but we can change the battlefield. He stepped to the central console, his fingers glowing as they touched the controls. The entire bunker came alive. Walls shifting, lights sparking. Old power lines roared with energy. Lyra looked around, confused. What's happening? Ethan realized it instantly. He's reactivating the old defense network. Not defense, the hybrid said softly. Awakening. He pressed his hand to the floor. The ground beneath them pulsed, and ancient holograms flickered to life. Maps, schematics, and codes written in both human and Virian languages. This place, the hybrid continued, wasn't built as a lab. It was a seed vault. For knowledge. For rebirth. Your species feared extinction, so you created me to carry your memory. Ethan's voice was barely a whisper. Then you're not a weapon. No, the hybrid said, but I can end one. Outside, the sky turned red. Massive ships appeared through the clouds, descending like dark angels. Their weapons glowed as they locked onto the coordinates of the bunker. Inside, alarms screamed. Lyra's crystal flared brightly. They're going to destroy us. Ethan turned to the hybrid. Can you stop them? The being nodded. Yes, but it will take everything I have. My core will burn out. Lyra's eyes widened. You'll die. The hybrid looked at her, and for the first time there was emotion in its voice. I was never meant to live forever. I was meant to make you live. Ethan stepped forward, desperate. Wait, there has to be another way. There isn't, the hybrid said softly. But there is a choice. It looked at Ethan. If I give my full power to the bunker, I can stop the patrol. But Lyra will lose her crystal, the part that keeps her alive. She will die. Ethan's heart stopped. No. The hybrid turned to Lyra. Or I transfer my core to her. She will survive. But the patrol will destroy everything else. Silence filled the chamber. Only the hum of machines echoed. Lyra's voice was trembling. If one of us must die, let it be me. Ethan snapped. No. She looked at him, eyes glistening. You saved me once, Ethan. But my mother built me to carry this energy for a reason. Maybe this is why. Ethan grabbed her shoulders. Lyra, don't. I already lost too much. I won't lose you too. The hybrid watched them quietly, almost human in expression. Love, it said softly. The one force both species feared most. The one thing they could never control. It turned back to the console. You don't have to decide, I already have. Wait! Ethan shouted, but it was too late. The hybrid pressed its hand to the crystal on Lyra's neck. Light exploded, filling the bunker. Ethan covered. His eyes as the energy surged through the room, brighter than fire, stronger than thunder. When the light faded, the hybrid was gone. Only ashes remained, glowing faintly before disappearing into the air. Lyra collapsed into Ethan's arms, her crystal now shining brighter than ever. Outside, the sky turned white. Every galactic ship powered down, their engines dead. The patrols fell silent. The war machines stopped moving. The hybrid had done it. Lyra opened her eyes slowly. He saved us. Ethan held her close, his voice breaking. No. You saved us. Far above, in orbit, a transmission flickered through the dark. Project Echo has awakened again. And across the stars, something or someone was listening. The storm above the city had ended, but the silence that followed was worse than thunder. The Galactic Patrol ships hung motionless in the air, powerless and dark, like giant metal skeletons floating among the clouds. Every circuit, every system, every weapon had died in the same instant. Down below in the ruins of the bunker, Dr. Ethan Hale sat beside Lyra. The room was quiet except for the faint hum of her breathing. Her crystal glowed brighter than before, brighter than anything human. It pulsed softly like a living heart. Ethan brushed dust from her hair. Lyra, can you hear me? Her eyes opened slowly. They weren't silver anymore. They shimmered with pure white light. I can hear everything, she whispered. Ethan froze. Everything? She nodded. The patrols, the satellites, even the static between stars. He stared at her in disbelief. You're connected to them? I'm connected to everything. She stood unsteady at first. Her skin had changed. No longer the pale shimmer of a Virian, but a strange balance between human warmth and alien glow. When she moved, the air itself seemed to ripple around her. Ethan felt both awe and fear. Lyra, what did he do to you? Her voice was soft but carried strange power. He didn't destroy himself. He became part of me. Ethan stepped closer. You mean the hybrid? She nodded. He's inside me. His mind, his memories. I can feel him guiding me. She looked down at her hands, watching energy flicker across her fingertips. I can feel the pulse of the galaxy, Ethan. Every signal, every breath. I could stop their machines. Or restart them, Ethan's mind spun. The hybrid hadn't just saved her. He had transformed her. Lyra wasn't just alive. She was something new. Suddenly, the bunker lights flickered. A low tone echoed from the ceiling speakers. Transmission incoming. Source, Galactic Council Central Command. Ethan's stomach tightened. They found us. A hologram appeared. A tall figure cloaked in white armor, the emblem of the Council glowing on his chest. His voice was calm, too calm. Dr. Ethan Hale, the voice said, you are hereby charged with treason against the Galactic Alliance, creation of forbidden hybrid technology, and aiding a fugitive enemy. Ethan stepped forward. She's not the enemy. She's proof that peace is possible. The hologram turned its cold gaze to Lyra. And yet her energy signature is disrupting all planetary defense grids. She is a weapon whether you accept it or not. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly. I never asked to be one. Then surrender yourself, the hologram said. Your existence violates the treaty of life. The Council will decide your fate. Ethan clenched his fists. The council already decided who should live and die. You destroyed my lab. You killed her mother. The hologram didn't react. Emotions are the disease of your kind, Doctor. You created balance, and now balance must be restored. The projection vanished. Ethan slammed his hand against the console. They're going to destroy the planet just to erase you. Lyra looked calm, almost serene. Then we'll stop them. Ethan turned toward her, startled. How? She raised her hand. The crystal on her neck flared, and suddenly, the bunker's broken monitors lit up again, showing images of the city, the orbiting ships, the entire planet network. Her voice grew stronger. I can reach their systems. The hybrid's consciousness is part of me now. He left me the key. Ethan shook his head. Lyra, that's suicide. You're not ready. The neural link could kill you! She looked at him, her glowing eyes soft. You once told me humans build everything dangerous. Maybe danger is just another word for courage. He stared at her, this fragile, glowing being who had once knocked on his door in the rain. And now she was ready to face an entire galaxy. Outside, the sky began to crackle again as the Council's command ship descended. Massive, golden, blinding. A voice thundered through the air. This planet is under quarantine. All hybrid life will be purged. Ethan grabbed her hand. We run. Lyra shook her head gently. No more running. She stepped into the open, her body glowing brighter by the second. The energy from the hybrid's core flowed through her veins like fire and starlight combined. The ground trembled. The city's dark towers flickered with light as if waking up from a long sleep. Ethan shouted over the roar. What are you doing? Ending the war, she said. Her voice wasn't just hers anymore. It was layered, human, alien, and something beyond both. She raised her arms, and the power burst outward, a massive wave of light that swept across the city. Then the planet. Every ship in orbit shut down again. Every weapon fell silent. Even the sky changed color, glowing faint gold where her energy touched it. The Galactic Council's systems crashed instantly. Their holograms faded into static, and then everything went quiet. Lyra stood in the middle of the light, trembling. It's done, she whispered. Ethan ran to her side. Her glow was fading fast. You burned too much energy. You have to stop. She smiled faintly, leaning against him. It's not the end, Ethan, it's the beginning. He held her close, feeling her heartbeat, faster, fainter. You can't leave me now. Not after everything. Her voice was barely a whisper. You gave me a reason to live. That's more than any galaxy ever did. Her light flickered one last time, soft and warm, then faded completely. Ethan fell to his knees, holding her still body as the city lights dimmed around them. But then, her crystal pulsed once more. Just a single beat, faint but alive. Ethan looked up, tears in his eyes. Lyra? A soft voice, distant but clear, echoed in his mind. I'm not gone. I'm everywhere now. And above them in the clouds, the stars began to shine brighter, as if the universe itself had heard her. The world was quiet again. For the first time in decades, no alarms blared, no ships roared above the clouds. Only wind, only silence. Dr. Ethan Hale sat on the edge of a broken rooftop, his face lit by the faint golden glow that still shimmered across the horizon, the last trace of Lyra's light. Days had passed since the event the galaxy would later call the Pulse of Two Worlds. No one truly understood what had happened. The Council's fleets were dead in orbit. Entire communication grids had collapsed. Every weapon had gone cold. But Ethan knew. She had done it. Lyra, the alien girl who had begged him for a chance to live, had silenced a galaxy that worshipped war. He looked at the small crystal in his hand, the one she had left behind. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat that refused to stop. He'd tried everything to restore her body, to bring her consciousness back from wherever it had gone. But she was no longer just one person. She was everywhere. Sometimes at night, when he closed his eyes, he could still hear her voice. Soft, distant, like starlight whispering through his thoughts. I'm not gone, I'm watching. He smiled bitterly. You always were stubborn. The city below had begun to rebuild. Humans and surviving aliens, Virian refugees who had once been hunted, now walked the same streets. They shared food, built shelters, and told stories of the girl who became light. The Galactic Council's authority had shattered. Their ships were silent, their armies disbanded. The galaxy was leaderless and afraid. But fear didn't last. Something new had begun to grow in its place. Understanding. Still, not everyone accepted it. One morning, a deep hum broke the silence. Ethan looked up to see a ship descending through the clouds, sleek, silver, bearing the emblem of the Galactic Council. He sighed. So they finally remembered me. When the ship landed, a group of armored figures stepped out. At their center was a woman with cold eyes and silver-gray hair. Her voice was sharp as steel. "Dr. Hale," she said, "by order of the Council remnants, you are to stand trial for the creation of the hybrid entity that caused the pulse." Ethan smirked. "You mean the one that saved your people?" Her expression didn't change. "She destroyed our systems. Millions of soldiers died when the fleets fell. You broke the balance." Ethan stood his ground. There was no balance, only control. "She freed us from that." The woman's tone grew colder. "You built an abomination. You mixed forbidden genes. You played God." Ethan looked past her, at the soldiers behind. "Tell me something. If God had given up on us, would you still blame the man who tried to give us another chance?" No one answered. The woman hesitated, her gaze softening for the first time. "Where is she now?" Ethan held up the glowing crystal. "Everywhere you look." They took him anyway. The trial was held aboard one of the Council's last functioning ships, a floating court surrounded by silent stars. Ethan stood alone under the harsh white lights facing a row of judges, both human and alien. Their faces were grim, their voices colder than space itself. "Dr. Ethan Hale," the lead judge began, "you have violated the law of species separation. Your actions led to the creation of an uncontrolled hybrid, resulting in the loss of countless lives. What do you have to say for yourself?" Ethan looked at them all. These people who called themselves leaders, who had started wars in the name of purity. "I have nothing to say to those who call life a crime," he said quietly. "Lyra wasn't a weapon. She was proof that we don't have to destroy to survive." The chamber fell silent. A different judge, an old Virian with fading blue eyes, leaned forward. The energy wave that she released, it didn't just destroy machines. It healed the atmosphere of 3 dying planets. It restored power to the colonies that were abandoned during the war. Another voice added, "Our scanners detected a new form of energy inside her pulse, neither human nor Virian, something entirely new." Ethan smiled faintly. "It's called peace," the judges murmured among themselves. Finally, the lead judge said, "You've changed the laws of nature, Dr. Hale. But perhaps the laws needed changing." He paused, then added softly, "We cannot judge what we do not understand." The court went silent again. Then, one by one, the judges deactivated their insignias, the symbol of the old council, and set them on the table. A quiet gesture, but a powerful one. The war was over, for real this time. Later, Ethan stood on the observation deck staring out at the stars. The galaxy stretched before him, endless, beautiful, alive. He held the crystal again, its light flickering between his fingers. "You did it, Lyra," he whispered. "You made them see." A soft wind stirred, though there was no air. Then, in his mind, a familiar voice answered, warm and teasing. "I didn't do it alone, human." Ethan smiled, tears forming in his eyes. "You always find a way to talk back." "Of course, you built me that way." The stars outside flickered, glowing brighter, as if the universe itself was smiling. Ethan turned toward the window, whispering, "What happens now?" "Now," her voice said, gentle as light. "We build again, together. You and all those who still believe." He closed his eyes, feeling her presence not just in the air, but in every beat of his heart. And when he opened them again, he saw it, a new dawn rising over the horizon of the stars, a world reborn, a galaxy healed, a promise fulfilled. And far beyond the clouds, where no law reached, the light of a new civilization shimmered. The legacy of a human who dared to break the rules and an alien girl who whispered through the dark, "Let me stay." And in the end, she did.